Beechwood, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And our first interview is with Goldie Pearl.
A+.
Okay, I'm rolling tape.
My name is Margaret Kosvar, and I am here with Goldie Pearl, Beechwood, Ohio, United States of America, November 12th, 1994. What is your name and the spelling?
95.
95. What is your What is your name and your spelling, please?
Goldie Pearl.
And how do you spell that?
Pearl.
Okay. And where were you born?
I was born in Volove, Czechoslovakia.
And can you spell that, please?
Pardon
Spell
me?
that, please.
To spell it?
Yes.
Volave.
And what is your birth date?
My birthday is June 3rd, 1926.
And how old are you now?
67, 68.
Can you tell us a little bit about your hometown?
Well, my hometown was a very nice little city, and we had very nice people there. We had the gymnasium, and we had police stations. We had trade people. Like we owned a tailor shop, ladies and men's. We had 6, 7 people work for us all the time. And we were 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys. 1 boy died when he was little. And my older brother went in 1936 to the army, Czech army. He was there until Hitler occupied the Sudeten. And then we didn't know about him for a long time. He came home when the Hungarian occupied our place, like in 1939. And he just came in during the night, walked in. So he was home like for 2, 3 weeks. And then the Hungarians took him in the army, and he was in Romania. They took in Romania then. And from there they took him to labor camp in Poland.
What about your other siblings?
We were together.
In your hometown in Volvo?
Yes, we didn't know about Henry until after we were liberated. So my sister Frances, and my sister Rita, and myself, and my brother Joe, and my father Abraham Schneider, and Laura Schneider, they took us in 1941 in the temple. All the Jewish people like to take us away, like to Poland, to Kalamai, where the people dig their own graves. But because we were tailors and they needed us, they let us stay at home, but we were like in a ghetto.
Okay.
We weren't supposed to go out.
I want to go back a little bit to find out what kind of a family you were before the war.
Well,
how would you describe your family?
Plain people. All the time I remember my family were to help people. Anybody, any orphan, anybody was sick, they had place in our home. Next to us was a doctor. And you know, in Europe, there was not hospitals, this, that. They were waiting for a doctor, they came to wait by us. And they didn't leave our house until they didn't get better. Not for money, just to come in and to help people. This is how I was brought up. And that's how we're doing after the war too. We could help people, we do, and that's it.
How would you describe your mother?
My mother was a very neat, clean woman. She could do everything. She could sew, she could cook, she could clean, she could take care of children, she could take care of old people. She used to take me as a young girl, maybe 10 or what, to stay with old people that were sick, bedridden. And Europe was like that you went to help people, not to leave the family, just to struggle with these older people. So we used to go there some weekends and stay over. And I said, Mom, why you take me? Why always me? She says, because you're the strongest and you understand better. So I went with my mother and I learned. how to take care of sick people. That's why my husband is alive today, because he has asthma for 42 years.
What was your mother's name?
My mother's name was Laura.
What was your
Laura
maiden name?
Zinn.
What kind of a child were you?
I was a very active child, not worried for anything. The children, the natives, called us then when there was already the bad times, Jews and this and that, and they used to beat up my sisters, take away their lunches, what they took to school. They didn't take mine because I was fighting with them. I beat them up, give them back. Not that I started, I didn't do that. But if they wanted to beat me up, I didn't let myself. You didn't go home to your parents crying, oh, I was beaten up, I was taken away the lunch, or this or that. It wasn't like that. You take care of yourself. So, and that's how it was.
What did you like to do as a child? What did you like to do as a child? Games you
As a
played,
child?
hobbies?
Well, we weren't, we would like to go, excuse me, to the water in the summertime. I tried to finish up at home what we had to finish up to prepare for dinner and to make my work at the tailor shop and to go swimming. And then we used to, like children, we used to jump rope, we used to ride bicycles if we had. If we didn't have, we used to take the neighbors just for a minute, but it was for hours. And I like to play with the children. And work, we didn't have too much time to play because we had homework, we had to help the mama to wash and iron and clean. And it was, everybody had their own work. So.
In your house, how would you describe religion in your house?
Our living, see, we had a large house according to other people, because my father was a good provider. So we had a large house. So we had room. We were sleeping like 3-4 girls in one room.
When did you know that you were Jewish? What role did religion play in your family?
We did know that right away because there was always programs in Europe. Like we were very close to the Polish border, and Russian, we always heard about what was going on. And they used to say, Jews, Jews, Jews. So we were always we always noticed that we're Jewish.
Did you come from a strictly Orthodox Jewish home or liberal home?
We come, here they would call that strictly Orthodox. But in my hometown, they called it liberal, not too Orthodox. But kosher, strictly kosher.
You said you went to the gymnasium.
Yeah, I didn't go to gymnasium. We weren't allowed to go to school anymore then. We just went like 8th grade, that's it.
How'd you like school?
Yeah, I liked school.
What
Everybody
kind of a
liked
student
school.
were you?
Pardon me?
What kind of a student were you?
I think I was average.
Did you like school?
Yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah.
What was your favorite subjects?
Needle pointing. I can tell you in English how they called it. I liked everything. I liked to read. I liked a lot to read. I like to read now too. And it wasn't too much there to choose. You just did what your teacher tells you to do. We used to write a lot, read a lot, and arithmetic, and history, and geography. And we had every day, we had to learn how to sew. That was in our school. And we had also gym, like every day.
What was your relationship like with your brothers and sisters?
Average. Every brothers and sister fight. We were fighting. We were good. Just like kids here.
What was your father like?
My father was strict. When my father walked in the house, in the dining room, and until he didn't sit down to have dinner, everybody was standing up. And then when he broke the bread, said a prayer, then we all sat down and we were, first my father started to eat and then we started to eat. We were very disciplined,
What was your relationship like with your father?
very close, very close. See, I was like him. I was very fast. So when we had to go someplace, ready to take some uniforms for soldiers, for police, and it was like 10, 15 kilometer. I used to take him on a bicycle. He couldn't ride a bicycle. So I take him on the bicycle. And on the back there was a suitcase with clothes. Yeah? And or we were walking. It was snow or what. Nobody could walk as fast as Daddy. Just me. So I was Daddy's girl.
You said your family owned a tailor shop. What was that like?
Like,
Can you describe the tailor shop?
yeah, it was in the front. The front of the house was big rooms, big tables, and big sewing machines. And the picture was laid out with the models. And there was like a closet. There was material that people were choosing what they want. And there was a feeding room where my father, and there was one fellow, the one he was a very good already, worked a lot of years. So he was a feeder also. And was mirrors. Some people walked in that from villages and they saw mirrors and people in the mirrors. They saw there was other people that showed. They didn't know. So it was, our place was like more than anybody else's.
You said you worked in the tailor shop. How did you
Yes.
like that?
There was no question, you like or you don't like. You came home from school, you ate, and you went to the tailor shop. You worked. Or you helped your mother in the kitchen and clean up or whatever. But before you went to school, you made breakfast. Yeah, for the men, they came home from temple. Most of the men went to temple in the morning. They came home from temple, they had hot breakfast, hot cereal. Yeah, we made our own bread.
When did you start to notice things changing in your hometown? When did you start to notice things changing?
Well, when the politics started to turn.
When was that?
It started like in the 30, 36, 37. We felt it already because if we went from the school with a teacher for walks, like for the whole day, and we were sitting by the water and there was like wooden logs together, and we were sitting there and the teacher was telling stories. And then one day she was telling a story that there is a fellow Hitler and he's gonna come and he's gonna gas all the Jews. And she was across the street, a neighbor from us. And we used to sew for her. And all of a sudden, she was Ukraine. All of a sudden, she came with this story. So I came home and I told for the boys what happened. And she went to a movie one night. And the boys went and they threw on her a blanket and they beat her up.
Do you remember her name?
Yes, Veronica Magochi. Veronica Magochi.
You said that the politics started to change.
Yes.
How did you notice that in the town?
Yeah, because the Ukrainians start to have meetings, and where they had the meetings in Jewish homes, because Jewish people had bigger homes, and they took a room, and everybody was hearing what they were talking against Jews, and they're gonna take the properties, and they're gonna kill them, and they're gonna this and that, and start like that. So there was a program on from the Ukrainians and the Jewish people, like in something 38 in the fall. That night the Hungarians occupied us. So then we thought, well, this is it, we're liberated. But then a few days later, then it was big wars. The Hungarians with the Ukrainians, they were killing each other. The Ukrainians were killing the Czechs before. They were dragging them to the public sphere, like with chains, with trucks on the roads. Didn't have anybody. They just picked people and they were taking them. So then we thought, well, this is it. We're going to be all right with the occupied with the Hungarians, because they were killing the Ukrainians. Then the Hungarians started with the Jewish law. Right away they started, everybody has to come up with citizen papers. So we all start to go look, find out citizen papers. And the ones that they were born in, like in Poland or in Hungary or different places, they took them right away to Poland. And I don't know if there was already concentration camps, but they had to dig their own graves. And they killed them, and then the next 100 were on this side, they killed them, and this is how it was going. We knew about it because some people played dead, and they escaped during the night and went to a farm, or some farmers took him in. He said, I'm not Jewish. They just thought I'm Jewish and they were taking me away. So this is how some people survived. And that's how it is.
And when was that happening?
Yeah, it was happening 39, 40, 41. It's happening all the time already since then.
What was life like once Hungary occupied your town?
Well, before a few weeks it was fine, but then later it was very bad. They were very rough to us, very bad. They would have taken us away. They did take us, but they let us come back because they needed us. But they were so dumb, the Hungarians. There were two gendarmeries going, because one was writing and the other one didn't know how to read it. That's how dumb. And they used to hit us. We didn't speak so good Hungarian then. They said they were beating us because you're so dumb. You speak 5, 6 languages and you don't speak Hungarian. So how was it? It was bad. They couldn't speak no other language, but we had to know their language. But it so happened that we did know to speak Hungarian because all our neighbors were Germans, Hungary, Czech, Ukraine, everything, and everybody came to us, and we were kids playing together. You know, as kids, you learn everything. And then in school, learned German. I went to the Russian school. I learned German, and I learned Czech, and Hungarian then. You went to the Czech school, you learned the difference. We had Czech and Russian first, 2 schools. And then we had only a Hungarian school, but we weren't allowed to go to school anymore. No, that was science. Jews and dogs are not allowed. So we didn't. We couldn't.
What other laws did the Hungarians pass against the Jews?
Well, we couldn't go to a store shopping. We were like in ghettos. We were discriminated. They were beating you. It was just very bad, very bad. They beat you up for nothing. Come in, and your stuff, even us, your stuff isn't ready. It was supposed to be ready for next day. It's not ready yet. You got beaten up. The man first.
Were you ever?
From the Hungarian? Not really, because I was always working in the back, and I used to sew on the buttons, making the buttonholes, and making the stars and whatnot, sewing on. I made that fine work. So no, not so bad with me then. The beginning, in the end, was very bad.
How did the Hungarian occupation affect the tailor shop?
Well, they didn't know how to. They didn't have their own tailors. See, we didn't sew for money. We just thought we had to do it. They didn't pay us. No, what we had a big yard. We had our own potatoes, our own vegetables. We had our own cows. We still had our own stuff then. So we had our own corn. And sometimes these natives brought in for us eggs and chickens and flour. We used to sew for them. So they brought us stuff for what we did for them. That's it.
Were only the Hungarians anti-Semitic in your hometown?
No, there were other ones too, the natives also. But the natives were always natives. Whoever occupied, they were native. They turned their jackets. If the Germans came, they were Germans. The Russians came, they were Russians. We couldn't do that because we were Jewish. We couldn't do that at all. And there were some people, some neighbors, that we were very good. One of my neighbors got a card for my father from concentration camp. He wrote them that if they could put away some of our stuffs, if maybe somebody will survive, so they should give it to us. And I begged them, give me my father's card. And they said, that's all we have from him. They wouldn't give it to me. They kept it, they liked it. So we were very good with our neighbors. Even the German neighbors. She liked Hitler so much, Mrs. Todd, but she liked us too. But she always came to tell us, she forgot that we're Jewish. She came to tell us what Hitler occupied. Gdansk, then he occupied this, and he occupied this. They always come to tell us the news, but she had a radio. We didn't have radio. So we knew what was going on, but she never told us that we're going to be gassed in for the concentration camp. She didn't say that to us. But if I wanted them to keep my clothes, our stuff, and they didn't want to take it. Or they were afraid that they're going to look for it, or they didn't want to have some stuff to look that was Goldie's, that was Feige's, that was Laura's. Maybe, I don't know. But when I came back, the older people, these Todt people, he was Hungarian, she was German, they went to another city. And her daughter, I told you, she stayed, she wasn't with the Germans. There were two, husband and wife. He was with the Hungarians, with the Russians, with the Ukrainians, she was with the Germans. The son was with the Ukrainians and the daughter was with the Hungarians. One family had 4 different parties. It was crazy.
What were your other brothers doing at this time?
I told you, one of my older brother, Henry, we didn't know about him, but my younger brother, he was working with us, and we went together to the ghetto, to Sekernitsa and to Auschwitz. We went together till Auschwitz in the same wagon. And then they mentally separated us, the men separate. We had to get right, we walked off the train, we had to get undressed.
Was your sister working with you in the tailor shop at that time?
Yes, yes.
And everybody was still working there?
Everybody was working, yeah. Not in Sekernitsa anymore. When they took us from Volova, that was already the end of our free time. That was free when we were still home working for them.
You said that it started to get very bad under the Hungarians. How?
You couldn't buy anything. They took away your money, they took away your jewelry, they took away your stores. They didn't took ours away because we were sewing for them. But other people's stores in the Hungarians occupied the Jewish stores. Not tailor shop, everything they took away, and they throw you out from the house. So then you move together, a few couples moved together in one place, and they took your homes away.
Was your home taken away?
No.
Why?
No, because of the tailor shop, and we had their officers living in our house, like 4 or 5 at the time. And in our backyard was the kitchen put up, the military kitchen. No, we weren't free.
What was it like to have the officers living in your house?
Well, they were in the house, they didn't bother us. We cleaned for them, we cooked for them, we did everything.
Do you remember any of their names?
Horvat, Gorgari, and Tot. It was Hungarian names.
How did they treat you?
Nothing. They didn't. They left in the morning. They came back. They were in the front fighting. They were fighting the Russians already. We could hear the front in our city. We saw how they were bringing in injured soldiers. We were right there.
And you continued working in the tailor shop too? What was the tailor shop doing at this point?
Pardon me?
What was the tailor shop doing at this point?
We were working. They didn't bring it to our house. There was like a Red Cross hospital in our city. They brought them there, but we knew about it. Brought them in trucks and in ambulances.
Were you still working in the tailor shop?
Yes.
What were you doing
Working
in the tailor
the tailor
shop?
shop until they took us away from our city to Sekernica. We worked till the last day.
And you only did tailoring for the Hungarian?
No, for the natives too. They came in. We made for them too. Yeah. And they brought us food.
Can you describe for us what a typical day would be like at this time?
What do you mean, a typical day?
Just a typical day from the time you got up and went to bed at night.
Oh, we used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and take care of the cows and milk them and make breakfast and if it was cold, we made fire. We needed the iron, put it in the oven to get warm, to iron the stuff. We was 15 pound on iron, heavy. And we were working, then we had lunch, if we could. If not, we didn't, because the soldiers used to come in our kitchen, and it was cold, and they occupied our kitchen, so we couldn't go in the kitchen. But we were grabbing. Sometimes we had some of their food too, bread or coffee or what. See, we didn't have enough to eat then either. And we had margarine. And sometimes they wanted to make donuts, so my mother helped them to make donuts, so we had two. See, that once they were with us then, they didn't bother us, they didn't hit us. They were with us. But then when already the Germans came in and everything we had to go. It was end of everything.
I want to go back to when the Hungarians were living in your house. You said that they had their own food?
Well, they were soldiers.
And they would...
We had in our backyard was the military kitchen. Also for the Czechs, before the Hungarians occupied, we had a very big yard, very big place. So the Czech kitchen was there too. And then the Hungarians too.
And then that would be the central area for all soldiers. They would come and eat there.
Yes, they used to come and stay in the line and eat, yes.
And you were responsible for working in that kitchen?
No, my mother helped. No, we were working in the tailor shop, but my mother helped to make them donuts.
Who worked in the kitchen?
But we used to help Mom prepare everything, and everything was prepared. So, and she was watching the cooking and the baking, and then we went to the tailor shop. See, we had a big oven in the kitchen. Like, we could bake there 25, 30 kilo bread at a time. It was built in, like half of this, and the soldiers were baking their bread.
While you were at the tailor shop, who was working in the military kitchen?
It was our kitchen, but they just came in there because it was cold. My mother used to help them. They were nice to my mother. She was a very nice woman. She could talk to them very good Hungarian.
You said for the most part they left you alone, that they
Yes.
they ignored you.
Most, yes.
Is there anybody who did not? Was there a time that they didn't?
They beat up my father once very bad. I was in hospital. I went with my sister to a place to take back some clothes for the Hungarian military or gendarmerie. And when we came back, the soldiers went to the front, and one of the soldiers kicked me, and I fell down with a bicycle with my sister in a ditch. And then I was laying there, And then somebody else came from my place. That was like in a village, like 5-6 kilometers from my home. Goldie, he was a mechanic, auto mechanic, and he found me laying there, so he brought me home. And then I was getting sicker and sicker, so like
We have speed.
Okay, so I got very sick. I was bleeding internal. And our next door neighbor, the doctor, I have to go to a hospital. But how can you go to a hospital? You're Jewish. And he was Jewish too. So he talked to the mayor in the city. They were very good friends still because the mayor was a native. So he said that he's going to send me to the hospital on a different name, on a not Jewish name. So I went there, and it was paid for it from the city. I was in hospital for a very long time. They found out there I had a ruptured appendix in Europe during the war. So my mother wrote to me, not in her name, that like for the neighbor's address. So she wrote to me that when I'm coming home. So I told her, wrote her back, that I can't even sit up yet. I don't know if I'm coming home. But in that city, I had uncles. They were still at home. So then I came home, and they were taking all the girls to Hungary, like Budapest, to work on farms, the Hungarians. So they came to our house to take the girls, and I'm not home. So they were asking my father, where I am? And he said he doesn't know. You don't know where your daughter is. So they beat him up. So, and they took him to jail. Even he worked for them and what. That was 1941. And then the mayor told the gendarmerie to let him out, that I was sewing in their house. They took me in for a few days, so I should do the sewing for them there, what they needed. So that's how they left my father out. And then a few months later, I came home. And didn't feel good, after so many sickness. Like here, they give you penicillin or antibiotics, but in that time, they were cleaning your wound. That was often wound with tubes, and they were cleaning it every day, and that was pure torture. Pure torture. I didn't care to live. No, when I came home in a truck, a neighbor, he was a truck driver, and he was bringing back and forth flour. In that city where I was in hospital, there was a flour mill. He was bringing the flour, and he brought me home. And he wasn't Jewish, but he was there all the time. He liked us. Not everybody hated us, but they couldn't do anything to hide us or anything. So then I was working again, feeling better. And came the Hitler's time, real Hitler's time. They took us away. But the reason when we came down from the train, they said there, any person had any surgery, go on this side. I had surgery, and it's a big You could see it good. So you have to get undressed. So as a girl, and I was holding my hand like this, so they didn't see that I had surgery. So then Mengele said to me, are you a Mischling? And I said, no. So whatever you say, yes or no, you got beat up anyhow. So he hit me with his gun on my head. And my mother got so scared, and she wanted to maybe to do something. He shouldn't hit me. So he hit her. She got right away deaf, my mother. She never heard again after he hit her.
I want to go back a little bit to when the Germans occupied your hometown. Did you know they were going to occupy? Did you know the Germans were coming?
No, they came in during the night. And they saw on our house, the license, whatever you call it, Schneider, Taylor. They come in the house and they said, that's the first German house they found, because Schneider is a real German name. But this was named from my great-great-great-grandfather's name. We didn't make it up. They wanted to see Herr Schneider, Mr. Schneider. So my mother said that he's in the army. So they left them. They didn't take away nothing from us, but they went into other homes. They take away whatever they had, chicken and geese, and beat them up and did anything. The cow, they killed them to have meat. But they didn't do nothing the first time, nothing. We were Germans. So, but the next day, we start already the girls to come there to do this, and they took the men to shovel the snow on the streets, so the soldiers could walk in and start already the trouble. And then in a few days, they took us to the ghetto. They took us to the temple. Everybody marched to the temple. You could just take so much with you.
When was that?
That was sometimes in April 44. They took us to that ghetto, Sekernica, and we were there a few weeks, also working hard, dirty work, cleaning toilets, cleaning whatever you can imagine, cleaning from the cows, from the horses. And then they took us to a school and examined us naked. They looked even inside, if you have to hide in gold or money.
That was the Germans?
German. The natives there already, where we came to Sekernica, we didn't know there nobody. But the Germans had done this, and if somebody had gold teeth, tear them out.
Who were you in the ghetto with? What members of your family were with you?
My mother and my two sisters, and some friends, cousins, relatives. Everybody's tried to stick together, and we were together till Auschwitz.
How did you survive in the ghetto?
Well, we took some potatoes with us, and we were working there in the kitchen for the Germans, so we were taking some food from there, and it started already to be green. So we had some grass, some living very hard, dying there already on hunger in the ghetto.
You said that they took you to a school where they did an inspection.
Yes.
When was that?
That was before we went to Auschwitz.
Did they do that often, or?
No, they did it. That was the last time in our country, until Auschwitz. That was the last time that they searched us.
Can you describe what a day was like in the ghetto?
Very bad. We were sitting like in a place where cows are. Very hard. We were just, and they were hollering Achtung we had to come out, and they send you to work, or they beat you up, or they tortured you. And then when they left, so we went back there, tried to get washed up from the blood, from this, that.
Did you ever witness a beating in the ghetto?
Oh, sure. They beat up everybody. My father, my mother, it was dark. They came with whips, they beat, sure. That was everyday thing, beating, torture, sure. That was since the Hungarians occupied us. Torture was the everyday work for us, the everyday thing for us.
Did the Germans ever beat you?
Yeah, they beat everybody. Sure. They whip you. And Mengele beat me right away. Then he recognized me and stood up.
When you were in the ghetto, you said you would go off to work. You would go off and do work. Would you do the same work every day, or was it different?
No, wherever they take you, send you. They said, God bless you. They take like 50 people go there, 50 people go there, and we were digging the ground, you know, like the plowing, and they putting in potatoes and putting in corn and things like this. So you work with potatoes. You put in a few potatoes and you have what to eat. You eat it raw, not washed.
Where did you live in the ghetto?
Like in where cows lived. In a place like that, where stick you in any place.
Did you live a lot of families, a lot of groups
Yeah,
together?
stick together a lot of people, yes.
Do you remember who you were with, or families that were just close to you?
Well, all these people that were with me was mostly relatives, and they're not with us anymore.
Do you remember
Some
any
of
of their names, family names?
Yeah, there was Schafar, that was Rosenberg families, there was Rosenthal families, there was Markovich families, the Weisses, Schwarzes, Browns, were all in the same place, like 500.
How long were you in the ghetto?
We were in the ghetto like about 6 weeks. In that Vernichtigung ghetto, like. It was already like to die there. There were a lot of dead people. We had to bury them. We had to carry them on our shoulders like 2 people and take them to a ditch and dig out and just throw them in. But if they had on them shoes or something that we could use, we took it to wear it.
How did you leave the ghetto?
Like I told you, they took us like to a school and was by a train station. We walked there far and we went in like enclosed train cars, what do you call it, and stick together. We were there for days. So in the train place where I was, so it so happened I was in the corner. And you know, like wood has knobs. So one of the knobs from one wood was taken out. And I felt, all of a sudden, I felt something cold. So what happened? One of the Germans put his sword in my back, and he said, "Sabotage, we broke the train, the car." They were screaming that people were doing that because they wanted to urinate there. So my mother was wiping me off, and we didn't have water. She tried to lick it off, the blood, and tried to hold it fast. It shouldn't bleed so much. And then she tied it with her stocking. This is how it was.
How long were you on the train?
I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days, I don't know. Don't remember. It was too long. Closed too long. The Germans stopped. They went out. They ate, or they put coals on the locomotives or what, I don't know. But it was a locomotive in the front and in the back. We were begging God they should bomb our train. It should get bombed, so we should get killed, not to go. We couldn't escape, and we came to Auschwitz. The people, they came before us, said, you crazy? Why did you come here? Why didn't you kill yourself? But you see, we couldn't do that if we were counted. And if there was missing one, they killed all for one. So everybody was afraid to kill himself or jump in the hole. There was holes like step toilets. They kill you, throw you in there and killed you anyhow. But myself, I wouldn't have done it, so they killed their 500 people because of me. And this is how it was all the time, in Auschwitz, in the ghetto, and everywhere.
How did you know you were in Auschwitz?
I did what?
How did you know you were in Auschwitz?
Oh, there was a sign. There was Auschwitz-Birkenau, and it said Vernichtigungslager, and it said also, the Arbeit maakt das Leben süß.
Which means?
It means work makes your life sweet. So we knew that was Auschwitz. We didn't know that Auschwitz was a lager before. We didn't have no paper, we didn't have anything. We didn't know what was going on. But they said they're taking us to occupy Poland. Because the Polish people, there was the war before, and they killed them, and they went to Russia, and some went, I don't know. So they said some were very nice, and they said, we're taking you to occupy Poland. So then one told the other one, we're going to a place we're going to be occupying and working for them.
What happened after you got off the train in Auschwitz?
After we got off the train, they started very bad beatings with whips. They had such a whips that they had 8 whips sewed together. This is how heavy that was. He started to beat, mach schnell, lauf, heb die Beine, lauf, mach schnell, mach schnell. Go right, go links. So we didn't know which way is better, really didn't know. But there was some people, also Häftlingen. You know, Häftling is like we were, like in prisoners. They pushed us on this side that were young, we could live, we could work, maybe we could live. That's how it started in Auschwitz.
Who did you arrive in Auschwitz with?
Oh, my parents, the whole family arrived together. My father, I could hear him now, hollering, Goldie, take care of your mother. I saw him go with my brother, but nobody in the world told me but my brother that what happened to him, what happened to my father. But that was already in 45, a day before he could have been liberated. They killed him. He worked in a coal mine. We worked on, in Auschwitz, we worked on the road. we were sitting on the ground. We were making from big stones, gravel. And the Germans always went and just whip you, hit you. Mach schnell, mach schnell. That means do fast. Lauf. And then another commando came and brought with wheelbarrows ashes from the burned people and put it on the gravel like that cement. And there was bones, and there was fingers, and there was eyes, and there was everything. Not hair, because the hair, they cut the hair and they made out of the hair mattresses. Us girls, for the soldiers.
At the selection on the ramp at Auschwitz, you said you saw Joseph Mengele. How did you know it was Joseph Mengele? How did you know his name?
They had his name, Dr. Mengele. So he took the twins on another side, and young kids, because he was experimenting on them with no Novocaine or any thing. They were just cutting you and doing with no nothing.
Did you know
There were
about these?
screams. There were screams. Yeah, when we were in Auschwitz, we knew. The Kinderlager, sure. They used to suck out the blood with the needles and let you die. Because the soldiers needed the blood.
Was Dr. Mengele doing the selections in Auschwitz?
Yes, him and Eichmann, and big like this, Goering, all these big things, Hitler's right arms were there.
Eichmann was at the ramp when you arrived.
Yes,
Hermann Goering was at the ramp when you. Goering was there at the ramp when you arrived in Auschwitz.
Eichmann.
Goering, was Goering present at the
Goering,
ramp?
yes, sure.
How did you know that?
You say Goering, I said Goering.
Goering, sorry.
Yeah. They had their names.
Were they participating in the selection?
Yes. Yes.
Did you ever see Adolf Eichmann in Auschwitz again?
Yeah, when we were working, and he went by, he came with a Tatrachka. It was this open cars that they used to drive by, or motorcycles, three-wheelers. We saw them. They were looking, and we doing our work. Yeah, we did see them. But after I went to Stutthof, I never saw them again.
You were chosen to work. What happened to your mother and sister on the ramp at Auschwitz?
My mother was young, healthy. So there was a girl, Dolly, and she somehow schlepped me away and she said, you changed your dress with your mother. She was from Prague, a Jewish girl. And we changed the dresses and went in the other side until they sent us to a barrack. It was the A-Lager, it was Czech barracks. And we were in A-Lager 829. It was across the street from the kitchen. And it was very close from the gas chamber and the shower. So we knew. And I asked the girl when I came in the first time, what is it smelling here so bad? So the burning, if you go to the dentist, you feel the smell if they drill your teeth. And this is the smell of what was in Auschwitz, but heavy smells. Now, if they drill my teeth, I said, oh, don't do it too long. Can't take it. So this is how the whole smell was there. And in your place was like Clorox. There was, you see, there is mountains that their Clorox is there, white lime, soil, whatever you call it. And that is Clorox. You make that wet and that explodes. This is what we have in our barracks. So we had barracks like the floor was nothing, dirt. And then it was koyas, and it was a floor. It was like 6, 8 koyas. The girls were up there. There was nothing, just boards. So we were there, and like when they wanted, during the night, they want torture hours, they just whistled, and the Stubova, the girls that had the power to be calling us, we should go out. And that was also Häftlingen, but they had to do it. They tell them to do it, they had to do it. So we had to go out and stay in 5 in a row, and with our hands up, and then they start to torture us, or we should crawl on the floor, or they hit us, or they sprinkled us with water. It was sometimes so cold that some people froze to death. Mostly the front ones got the most. And that's what was any place. Auschwitz, where I was the last time, was everywhere. They had fun. Or if they were very drunk, so they didn't call a torture hour. They used to drink a lot. Women and men.
How long were you in Auschwitz?
I was in Auschwitz like 2 months. Then we were also selected. Strong. We had to be naked again. Strong legs. And Mengele looked for strong legs. He was there again to select. You had strong legs, you weren't skinny, so you wouldn't sabotage, you would work. You would put in the work. So we went to 500 of us. We were there. It was a very bad place. Very bad. There was too much lice and too much bed bugs and too much typhoid fever and all this stuff. So from there, the strong ones, there was already other people, not just us, the 500. Then they took us in trains again, selection again, Mengele, and other soldiers. But Mengele, we knew. Everybody knew him. He was a big, strong man. And he was screaming and hitting like anybody else. But then we had already the black soldiers, like Damjanek and Stutthof.
You mean Ukrainian?
The Ukrainians. So they already wanted to show that they could do better than the Germans. So they were torturing, and they took us to Proust. And there was already with us SS woman in Proust. So they brought us to a barrack, fenced in with electric wires, and it said also Arbeit macht das Leben wies. It was said Proust.
Can we go back for 1 second? How was the decision made as to who was going to Stutthof? How were you chosen
We
for
were
Stutthof?
selected. We were called to a Zelappel. They call it Zelappel, to go in the rise, to call us out like soldiers to report. And we were selected,
And
500 of us.
And how did you get to Stutthof?
We got to train again. We went by train.
And
And
where-
we got a bread. We got a bread for the trip. The bread was sawdust, and it was so gray, so moldy. It was good.
What happened to your mother and sister at the selection?
They were selected to go to work.
So you all went together
We
to
went together.
Stutthof.
And this girl that I told you, she was like a sister.
Do you remember her name?
Yeah, Esti Weingarten.
Why do you say she was like a sister?
She was alone, and she was a girlfriend to my older sister. And my mother just tried to comfort her, to be with us, so she could be like ours.
So you all went to Stutthof. What happened when you arrived in Stutthof?
No, well, again, started going down from the train with a beating. And we went to a block, they called the barracks block. And we went there, and there was dirty, dead people, ugly. This is where we had to sit down, lay down. Then we got some soup. That soup was made out of people and potatoes and grass and whatnot. That some people ate it. I just drink it. I couldn't just. I knew what it was in it. I just couldn't take it.
What kind of work did you do in Stutthof?
In Stutthof,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Nothing. They just tortured us there. Just called us out for Zelappel a few times during the day, and nothing until we were chosen again to go to work to Proust.
You said Joseph Mengele came to Stutthof.
Yes.
How did that happen? What happened?
Well, he came to choose us to take us. We should go to work to build soldiers' barracks in Proust. And he selected us, and he recognized me. He says, "Du verfluchte Hure, hol deine Reihe." He said, that means bad name. But what I didn't even know what it meant.
I'm sorry, what was the phrase again that he said?
He said, like I was in the front, because I was the tallest. And he says, he recognized me. He says, "Ich kann dich." He says, "Hol deine Reihe, du verfluchte jüdische Hure."
What does that mean? How does that translate?
You goddamn Jewish whore. He says, "Take the 5 of you and go on this side." You didn't know where you go. But my sister, my little sister, he didn't let go because she's little. So she went like in a gate. And when he left, and my older sister, she went in and schlepped her to us. And she was afraid to go. my younger sister. She said, they kill me, they kill me. She says, they kill you here, you come with us, we're going to be together. So we put in her shoes stones, so she's taller. This is how we did. Stones, piece of dirt or anything. So then we were going, I don't know how many days from Stouthouse to Proust with black soldiers already, black assessment. We arrived there and they told us we're gonna work. So we start to build the barracks for the soldiers. And then we start to go to work. We were building roads, railroads, airports. So we had assessment, a black one. We called him, and they all screamed, loaf, 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 lows, lows. That's we go, hurry up, hurry up. And then we had an old assessment, and he said the same thing like the black one. So we had every day other guards with us to work. And the Schwarz, the white lows, we didn't know their name. Just we said the white lows, the Schwarz lows, like that. And this is not so bad, and there is not so bad. We were looking who we're going to work with, because they hid us. We had to work like 30 kilometers to walk and carry on the shoulder your tools. And the dogs were chasing us, the German shepherds. No, but some of them, they couldn't run so fast either. So we come to work, and they lure us, you know. So we went to work with a white louse assessment. And you see, we like 10 girls do here, 10 here. We were digging, they called it planeering. We were digging out the ground and putting in their gravel, and on top of them, then we mixed cement and put in the cement, but we mixed it with our hands. So on the Loras, this is like a little train, open, and you have there the cement or dirt or stones or blocks, anything. So that Vice Laus told me to go on the Lora and unload the cement. And I go on the Lora, and I somehow felt that the Lora is not closed, locked, that I'm going to turn over and the cement over me. So what did I do? I jumped out and didn't get hurt. And the Lora turned over without me. She said, come like here. That means come here. So I figured, now I'm going to get it. He says to me, du bist so verflucht. That means you're so shrewd, and you knew that the Lora's unlocked, and you didn't get killed. I'll give you a piece of my bread. He was such a bad assessment. He was tall and thin and old, but he couldn't be already on the front. It was so bad. He said, you're praying we should lose the war, do you? I said, we don't know how to pray. If we would know how to pray, we wouldn't be here. What can I say? I told him. He gave me a slap and go back to work. Didn't beat me up bad, just give me a slap. So, and that's what happened to us. We were working, they were just torturing. He wanted to see how that would torture me, kill me or torture me or whatever. This is what they tried to do.
Do you remember his name?
No, we called them white louse. No, I don't know.
While you were in Praus, did you work outside the whole time?
All the time outside. All the time. We built roads, railroads, airports. And we worked at the ship, unloading and loading. You know, we worked inside. Maybe that's why we survived better, because the girls that they worked in the ammunition factories, my friends, they died already. They had cancer.
Did you ever have to work for the German soldiers?
Yeah, we made their barracks. So everybody had their a room. So I came in that barrack. First we built it, and then to finish it up. So we washed the floors, scrubbed them, and cleaned the windows, and had dirty boots there. So I went outside and I washed the boots, scrubbed it with a thing it shouldn't be no dirt, and polished it up good, and washed the clothes, and ironed. If there was missing a button, I sewed it on, or it was torn pants or something. So I sewed it up and ironed it, put it nice away. And there on the fields was poppies, but we didn't know what it was. It was narcotics. So I found a bottle from beer or wine or whatever, and I went and put poppies in there, like flowers on the table. And when he came home and found that everything done, he called my number. So everybody was very scared. You call your number, they kill you, they beat you, they torture you, anything. So I come out and he says, come in the room with me. He could have been a man like 45 something, that he was Unterscharführer. The head of him was Oberscharführer. He was very mean. He was so mean, you just looked at him, you saw that he would kill you. And he said to me, sit down, what is your name? And I told him. He said, were you ever asked your name since you're in prison? I said, no. He said, Schneider, is that a German name? I said, that was my father's name. He says to me, why are you here? I said, because I'm Jewish. Didn't do anything wrong, just because I'm Jewish. He says to me, you did my room so beautiful, so neat, but don't ever touch these puppies. We couldn't go there. We were fenced in the concentration camp, but like we worked for him, so we could go and get flowers. He said, this is for that they would kill you. But I wouldn't say that you put them in for me. He said, I'm a father too, I have my own children. And I would like to do something good for you, what you made my room so nice, in my clothes and everything. What would you like me to do for you? And I said, well, can I trust you? Sie werden mich nicht verraten? You're not gonna tell on me or whatever if I'll tell you something? He says, no, I won't. I said, well, my mother is a very good cook, and she could cook you the best stuff there is, and clean. He says to me, is she here? I said, yes. He says, bring her here. No, when I went to get my mother, so everybody thought they're gonna kill her, because she was a woman like his age. So he says to her, listen, Frau Schneider, he told her, Mrs. Schneider, where would you hear us? Soldier and assessment would say that to you, Frau Schneider. He said, you're gonna be in the kitchen. You're gonna cook for us. Not for us, for the soldiers. And there was another lady, Mrs. Blyer. She was a doctor, Jewish. And there were some 3 sisters, tall, maybe 6-footers. And they were also in the kitchen. Came with us from Auschwitz, from Stutthof.
I hate to stop you,
So my mother started to go in the kitchen. She was cooking. And at night, when she came in from the kitchen, we were already in our barrack because we came from work. And then we were staying in the line for our soup. And everybody wanted to be in the back because the soup was thick in the back. And when the first one got just watery soup. So my mother used to bring in a pail soup for the girls. And if she saw somebody and the soldiers weren't looking there, she was giving for everybody to eat. There was a big place like this place. They put it and made a hole and put potatoes in there. And then they put straw and on top of that soil. So the potatoes were there. And if they needed potatoes, they opened that and take out. So girls, when at night they were so hungry to steal a potato, they got killed for it. We were digging to take out a potato. No, but my mother tried to bring in and to feed us a little, and that's what hold us. And then I'm not sure, was it, we worked there. They hit us, but not very, very bad, not very often, not like in Stutthof or in Auschwitz. Then we went to, all of a sudden we got news. We had to get ready and go. That was the Dead March, to start to go, evacuate, because the Russians are close. I told my mother I'm not going because I'm going to stay here because my back hurts. I can't walk anymore. I started already to get very weak. My mother said, no, we go together. So what she did, she brought from the kitchen what she was cooking for the soldiers, skin from pig. And she put it on my back and put it on the paper. You see, we were wearing paper that was warming us. We didn't have enough clothes, so we're using paper from the cement. That was our clothes, mostly. So, and we start to walk, and we walk, and we walk. Months. So then one day, that was the Ober. We didn't see, already it was very close. Yeah, we saw Russian soldiers. And the Russian soldiers were calling us, we should go to them. Some girls were running to them, and the SS people were killing them. We couldn't run because we were next to the soldiers. So there was a basement. The house was demolished, but a basement with water, and they sent us into the water, the soldiers. It was cold during the winter. So, and somehow the Germans zigged there, and the Russians went away. Well, we were on the line, on the war, fighting line, in the war. So we walked, and we were very tired and very hungry. We lived on snow. And sometimes they let us in a church. And sometimes we were with the Germans together. They were evacuating away from their home. So they had wagons with horses, but we were schlepping the wagons for the assessment as girls. And there was baskets, and I put in my hand in a basket, and there was eggs. And I took eggs in, and I put it in here. It was tied, that little gray dress. And over us, we had a blanket. And I had eggs, and I gave for a few girls. With this, it was frozen. With the peel, we ate it. No, okay, then we came to a farm, and there was pigs. So the soldiers, I don't know where they were, but we went to the pig stall, and we took their food, and we're eating. We're hungry. We were living on snow. So once I figured I had to do something. If I get killed, I get killed anyhow. who was behind, couldn't walk. They were shooting him, and we had to bury him. So there was nothing. They kill you. But we were just asking for one thing. They kill us instantly. We shouldn't suffer. So I went to the Oberscharführer. We were sitting down on logs, and I went to him, and I said to him, Herr Oberscharführer, in German, would you please let us a little bit rest? We're so tired. We're so hungry. Can you do something for us? I said to him, you're suffering too, not just us. I said, you know us since we're in Prost. You were like our father. Would you do something for us? We can't take it anymore. He says to me, yeah, maybe. He knew my mother. She cooked for him. The Bürgermeister, somehow, I don't know, we were close to the Bürgermeister or what. All of a sudden, we saw a wagon came. Like they were closed wagons, like they were carrying their toilet waste and things like this. They brought us some food and that. And we ate. It wasn't clean or good. They brought us. So from there on, we went into a church that night. And we were sitting there, sleeping there. In the morning, we start again to go. And we're going. It was raining and it was snowing. So we were staying once behind with my mother, my two sisters, and some other girls. My mother said, let's stay away. Let them go and we'll stay away. So we stayed away. It was at night, and we were still walking. There was light, and we go there. We thought it's farmers. And what was it? An SS kaserne. The dogs came and what? So the SS came out. They didn't kill us. They said, what you doing here? We got lost. And he says, go that way. And we went, and we found the rest of them to sit on logs and snow on anywhere. Sit again. Waiting was going to be through the night. So we were sitting there and sitting. And next day we came to, no, during the night, we came to Putzig. Putzig was like a military caserne. You know what caserne means? And
what does it mean?
It means soldiers barracks. It was wired in, but the caserne were on this side, and we were before the caserne by the ocean, by the port. And we saw their ships, and there was some men like us, Häftlingen, and prisoners. They said, why'd you come here? Why don't you get killed on the way? Why'd you come here? They're gonna bomb you here. They were putting prisoners on the ships, a lot, stick together like flies, and put a flag that's a fighting ship. So the Russians were bombing it. So they got rid of us that way. They shouldn't see the Russian look, so many people killed. No, and we were 180 girls, didn't have a ship anymore. The ships were under, so we had to knee down and hands up. And we're just there alone now. We don't have soldiers. We don't see nobody. So all of a sudden we hear the bombing, we hear all that thing, we see cows and horses and sheep, they're killed on the road, and we're still standing there. We don't know what to do, we're frozen to the ground. So the Russian soldiers broke the gate and came in to liberate us. But when they broke the gate, the barracks were blowing up. So we couldn't go there. So they took us to a next house. They took us a little bit back, like 2-3 miles, and put us in houses that the Germans left.
What date were you liberated? What date were you liberated by the Russians?
We were liberated March 12th, 1945.
And then what happened?
And then we stayed in that house, and the Russian soldiers made fire and a burning stove. We were sitting on it. We were so cold. And we got washed up there, and we found some clothes from the Germans. And we took their clothes and got changed. And we're there like the first ones they came, the officers were very nice to us. They told my mother to watch us because the soldiers are very mean. They rape and they kill, and they're just prisoners too. They came from the prisons and they're very rough. They drink alcohol, burning alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, anything. So one night, my mother smells fire. Yeah, we had to work for the Russians to make ditches, so they should hide. We had to do anything they want because they were killing us. For the Germans, you worked, for us, you don't. So we did, and we had to cook for them and whatnot. So my mother said, "Get up, everybody." There were maybe 80 girls in a little house. The house is on fire. So what the Germans did, they left, evacuated. So they burned the steps, were wooden. They burned the steps, and the steps were burning, and we're upstairs. So we were jumping through the windows. But some of the Russians saw that, Russian soldiers. So they took from the wagon that long thing that the horses attached to, and one was holding the other one and put in the window that thing so we could slide down. My mom and me. Mom didn't let me jump because she was afraid if I jump, that would open. So we fall in the snow from there. But my sister broke her shoulder bone, and my other sister hurt her back and this. And then they took us to another place. There was also girls from us. In fact, from my hometown, a mother liberated with 3 girls. So the younger girl says to my mother, she says, "I'm not going to survive even this. We're liberated. I'm not going to survive." She says, "I'm going to die. I'm so weak." So then we all got very sick. We had typhoid fever. We had malaria. We had skin rash, very bad. We had lice. We had no hair. And that hair would start to grow. Because of the typhoid fever, we were losing that too. So you became very ugly, deaf, and cross-eyed, and weak, and high temperature. And you had such a high temperature, you were just seeing blood in war. I don't know if it was dreaming or was the sickness. It was war, but not right here where I sit. But I see it here. I see water, blood. See, the ocean was blood. It wasn't plain water. So in my sickness, I saw my father in that blood. And he told me then even, take care of Mom. But then I couldn't take care of Mom. She didn't have typhoid fever. She was more nourished because she was in the kitchen, so she ate. She brought us too. That's why we survived. The few girls that from my hometown, she brought us something. But that was very bad. No? Then a few days later, we were in a quarantine. You know what a quarantine is?
What is it?
A quarantine is that a place that people are contagious, very sick, contagious. But we couldn't stay there also. It was, my mother was taking from the dead animals, and she was making soup and things like this for us, for every girl, every child. She was a mommy for everybody. So she tried to help us a little bit and to talk to the Russian soldiers to leave us alone. We were very sick, больные. They call it very sick больные in Russia. She said, if you're going to come close to them, you're going to get sick and die. So don't go to these kids. So, and there was always other soldiers because they always went front in the fighting lane. So my mom said to us, listen, let's go from here. Where? We can't even walk. Where go from here? She said, we're going to get here bombed. Go in the front from where we came. So we start to walk, then back. And a little bit we went in a house, abandoned house. We found something there, a potato or a sauerkraut in a barrel or pickles, things. But a lot of kids died because they ate. My mother would not let us. She made us water, hot water to drink first. And then we came to Krakow. Krakow, was it Warsaw? Kovel. There was a Russian place, Kovel. And we stayed in a train station. Nowhere where to play, so we went there to stay over the night, day or never. There was a Russian soldier with one foot. He was beating us with the sticks. And he said, where are you? So we said, Evreysky. Evreysky, it's Jewish, Israelis, whatever. He said, eto nehorasha nacija. Not nice people. Beat you up again. So we said, we're Czechs. And we could speak to them. We could speak Russian, Czech. But the Hungarian girls, they couldn't speak only Hungarian. And they asked, what are you? Magyar? Magyar. So they beat them. So I tell them, don't say Magyar. Don't say that again. They said, it's not a dirty word. I said, no. But they know that you're Jewish. They're going to kill you. So in that station, they killed maybe 20 girls. We went through all this walking, all this sickness. All of a sudden, we wake up. We see there is about 20 girls dead with knives. Kill them. So we were going again. So we found on some tracks, train tracks, we found some abandoned cabins, or what you call it. So we went in there. We found there something, a straw, we could sit down on that, lay down, sleep. We were looking for potatoes and this. And then we found already men. We found some men from Yugoslavia. They were imprisoned. So they said, you know what, let's stay together. I'm going to help you. They were also very weak, or what? I'm going to help you. So they went to organize. We were sitting in that, what did I tell you, van, whatever, from the train of peace. So, and the men went to organize potatoes. They took some wood, they made fire. They made fire with 2 stones. They were rubbing, and then they made with us. We didn't have matches or anything. So my mother cooked potatoes. We found some conserve cans. It was rusty, but we used it. This is how we were going from place to place, and we came to city. It's now the Carpathian. It's like a city like Cleveland. And after that is the capital city, Ungvar, Uzhhorod. So we stayed there. My mother said, no, we don't go no place from here. Only you gonna go home and get us papers. So maybe we could go to America.
When was that?
That was in May. When May, and then the war was still going on. Then May 8th, we heard a lot of noise and a lot of shooting. So we said the war start again here. there was already occupied. But as the war ended, so there was only Russian soldiers. So the Russian soldiers were shooting and this, the war is ended, May 8th. So we didn't know what to do, to go out or this or that. So one of the men went out and find out what happening, what's this shooting. So they were told that the war is over. No, so we all went out and started to cry and to dance, and there was always the Russian officers were nice. Only the soldiers were not nice. The officers were very nice to us. They told Mom, watch your kids. They're going to get hurt, they're going to get killed. They're very, very wild. So then we start to get a transit house, like made like in a house. In every what they called us Ketzlers, Katzettlers, that we survived Katzet. So we went there to cook. We got there they brought some food there, I don't know how. From the UNRWA or what, they got food and we were cooking. And my mother went every day to the train to see if somebody came. Train, you would think it's who knows what train. It was from Coles, dirty, any place, or open only, and what that was the iron they were carrying. Any place, you just jumped on it and you went. You didn't know where you go. You just go away from the war. So my mother went to the train, and who came down the train? My brother. She didn't see him for 6 years. She brought him in that transit house, and I wasn't there because my mom sent me to Volove to get some papers. And maybe I find something, I could sell it or what, or something. So my brother says to my mom, tell me when Goldie died, because Relly Rosenthal saw him in Budapest at the Red Cross, and she told him that I helped for everybody, Mom and the sisters. I worked more than they did. We were weaker. But then she died on typhoid fever. When she left, I was very sick. She thought I died. So she told my brother. So he said, tell me when she died, so I'm gonna say Kaddish. That's prayer. Mom said, no, she's alive. She went to get papers. He couldn't believe it. So I was in Volove. My neighbors, some of So I came to Volove, and some neighbors were very happy to see me. And some neighbors, next neighbor, she came to Volove from another place, married a fellow, but he died before we left. So she was nice to her in-laws or to nobody. She was a mean person. When the Hungarians came, she was with the Hungarians. She was with the Germans, with the Russian, Ukrainians. She always turned her jacket. So when I came, so she says to me, what are you doing here? Hitler didn't gas you in? And I said, why, were you praying for it? She said, yes. I says, now look, I came. I won't say nothing about you to nobody, but I want my stuff, what you have. She had our dining room set, she had our bedroom sets, she had our carpets, she had sewing machines, she has one of our cows. And I said, you give it to me back, and I won't tell nobody that you weren't good. Because in our house was occupied by the NKVD. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's the Russian secret, whatever, I don't know. So she says to me, oh, you're not going to take anything from me, because my bachko, her uncle is Tarachonich. Tarachonich was a tovarish by the Russian, a big macher, like a Bürgermeister, something like that. So I said, what do I care what your this is? Hell with him. She said, oh, I'm going to report you to the NKVD. I said, do so. So she knocked in the window, and she called, and there came in an officer, like a mayor or something like that. I look at him, and I said, hi, tovarish. He looks at me, he says to me, and I said, if not a tovarish is friend. I said, you're my brother. He says, how am I your brother? I said, because you're Jewish. He says, how do you know that? I said, you look like Jewish. So he said, so, and I am Jewish. I said, I came from concentration camp, from the ashes. He said, so what do you want? I said, I want my stuff here. She doesn't want to give it to me back. She said, that too bad that Hitler didn't gas me in. And she says, she's a good friend. I said, no, she's not. I said, she had killed them, and she had killed this, and this was killed because of her, and this was hanged because of her. So I said, you don't have to trust me, that I say the truth. Call in her in-laws. So her in-laws came in. They started to kiss me, and I should stay with them. And they said, well, does this girl say the truth? Barishnya. They called the girl Barishnya. Does this Barishnya say the truth? I said, yes. They were our neighbors. They were our good neighbors. They took them away, and my daughter-in-law took all their stuff away. And it's theirs. And I said, just turn over the chair, and you see the name on the chair, or on any furniture. It says Schneider. It was sent in from another city. It was made to order. So he says to me, this mayor, yes, you get everything back, but you come stay with us. You're gonna stay here, and you're gonna be here like you were before the war. It's your stuff, and you stay with us. So I figured, I can't stay with you. I want to go back. I don't want to stay with Russian. So I stayed with my friends. I said, I'm going to stay with my friends. I feel comfortable there. So my friends told everybody that I'm here. They should give me back my stuff, or they want to buy it. They should give me a few rubles. So some people that they had stuff from us, they came, and they gave me some rubles. And they bought the stuff that she had, our stuff, and took it away. And so then I had already money to go to the city hall to make papers, because you had to pay for the papers. I had already some rubles. And my neighbors across the street, they're Maria's in-laws, they were baking potatoes for me, and they were milking the cow in a jar to make sure it's kosher. They had a card for my father. He sent from you were getting cards from Dipik in the concentration camp. You send it out, maybe somebody was hiding, and you know where. You send cards and tell them that you're in a resort place, and you're fine, they treat you good, you're working, and you're fine, that they should come forwards also. They shouldn't be hiding out. So my father was sending a card to our neighbors. He was saying they should save some stuff for us. So they did. But they didn't want to give me the card. They wanted to keep it for themselves. This is what we have from our Abraham. That's all. No, and then they were afraid. My neighbor Schubert was their name, that the Russians wouldn't let me go away. So they dressed me in their costumes, a white shirt, in a apron, in a vest, and that was embroidered here and in the front, in Rivera Babushka. So they shouldn't see that I'm a Jewish girl. So they were taking me from city to city, a little walking, a little on a wagon, because the bridges, the roads were broken, bombed. So when I walked, and I came back where my mother was. My mother and other girls occupied a house from a doctor, from this lady that she was in the kitchen with my mother, Dr. Dr. Lieber. So we stayed in their house, but nobody came back. So we were there until we went to Uzhhorod to get some papers so we could go out. They didn't let you go out from where we stayed, the Ukrainians. It was like iron curtains. But if you had papers that you were born in Czechoslovakia, in Slovensko, where Joe was born, so then you could go. So I went with my brother-in-law and his brother, and we went on a military truck to Uzhhorod from Munkac. It was like 100 kilometers. But you see what happened if you went on a truck or what? The Russians, they were raping you. So, and they were drunk. So I went under a barrel. And the Russian says to the man there on the truck, there was a Reja. A Reja is a blondie. Where is she? So the boy said, we don't know, maybe she fell off the truck. We don't know, we didn't see her. They were sitting on a barrel on me, but in the barrel there was in the side a hole. So I had air. So when we came to Uzhhorod, we all jumped down and we went to the consulate or whatever it was, consulate. And we made there were some Jewish officers. And they made us the papers. We said we were born there and there, so we made us papers. I made for my mother, for my sisters. And we had papers. We could try to escape from there. So what we do, we go to look for another truck that goes to Munkac. So that truck that we came with bread, to pick up bread from Uzhhorod. So I was again under a barrel with 2-3 breads. When the truck stopped on the public square in Munkachevo, and Herman, my brother-in-law, threw down the barrel, I was holding the 3 breads. And the barrel was rolling so far that he couldn't catch me, maybe more than a mile. It stopped by a house. But he found me, and then we came home with bread and with papers. They called it bumashkas. Now what we do the next day, it was after the high holidays. Already later, was very few people left. They were going away, some were Czech soldiers and whatnot. And they took their families, but we didn't have nobody like to take us. So we tried to go on papers. They catch you, they catch you. So we go on a train, we came to Košice. That was Slovensko. So from there, my brother-in-law had a cousin, and he told us he stays there and there. We went there, we stayed over there. So there was a sewing machine. So there was some rags, some schmattes, so we made some clothes and get changed, get dressed. And we had already a coat, and we had already a dress, we had already some, it was men's shoe, but doesn't matter, shoes. It was already cold. So from there, we passed already the Russian border. We're already free. So from there, we heard that our cousins were in the English army from Israel, and they stayed someplace. We didn't have no address. Prague, we came to Prague, we were looking for people like a needle in the hay. We were looking for this and this people. It so happened that somebody told us, take this tramway and go. So we went to Prague 7, and we came to this building, and we rang the bell. There was a very bad domovnica, it's custodian. What do you want here? Oh, we want here our cousins. There are many of them already, too many there. So, but we ring the bell and they let us in, and we came there, and they're our cousins. Our aunt is here, but my older sister with her fiancé, she couldn't come. Somehow the Russians took him off the train and had him arrested. But somehow they came out. They came a few days later. So I came with my mom and my brother and younger sister to Prague. And came like in a Tuesday. It was already cold. They were lighting the first Hanukkah candle that day. And my mother stayed in the house, but for me, the rest of them said, here is the address, go buy coals there and potatoes there, and here is a wagon, you bring it home. And with money to go shop. So I went, and my back was hurting me very bad. I brought it up and I said to Mom, Mom, I'm jumping down out the window. She said, not alone, take me with you. All these girls, all these survivors, they had everything in a bathtub, and they wanted us to wash it and clean it. I said, Mom, I'm sick, I can't do it. I said, this is liberated? I can't. She says, well, we wash it. And we had to take it on the attic to hang it. It's their place. We just came. No, now we're not finished. We have to be adopted because we came from the Carpathian. And if you're here, you have to be adopted. If not, the Russians, there were Czechs and Russian, they'll take you away and you don't know. The people they took away didn't know. Lost. So somebody rings the bell. So I go to the mom, says somebody's at the door. And nobody was home. They all left. They were making business, black marketing, try to survive. And I go to the door, and there was a chain. I opened the door a little bit, and I said, what do you want? He says, I want to come in. I said, why? He said, I want to come in. My cousin lives here. I said, your cousin? Which one? He said, Sam Pearl. I said, show me that you're Pearl. So the DPs had a cassette card. So he showed me, yes, he's Pearl. So I let him in. I said, okay, sit down here and wait for him. So my mother comes, and I was laying there in a other room. Couldn't move, my back was killing me. She says to me, come and talk to the young man. Maybe make him a tea. I said, me? I'm sick, I can't walk. I make him a tea? She said, okay, I'll make him a tea. All right. So my mother talks to him, and she asks him things. Fine. But he saw me because I opened the door. At night, when his cousin came back, he says, who's that lady with that girl? Oh, he said, that's my aunt, my wife's mother's sister. Aunt, big deal. So he said, oh, I like this girl. He says, no, ask my aunt. So he went and asked my mother if she would let him marry me. It was going on just like that. My mother said, well, would you be as nice as Sam? Because she knew Sam before the war. He got married with our cousin. She said, oh yeah, even nicer. He said, I have a farm, and I could have you all there, and I adopt you all. Okay. At night, the next day already, he arranged to go to a circus. So my cousins gave me stockings, and one gave me a purse, and one gave me shoes, and he took everybody to the movies, to that circus. So I walked out from the hall, from that building, and I fell down. My feet didn't carry me, I just fell. My knees are bleeding. Everybody's tried to get handkerchiefs, this, that, but we go. I can't go back, I have to go with him. Nobody believes me that I hurt so bad that I can't go. So we sit there. So what was the circus about? Hitler. Was a fellow, he looked like Hitler and things. It was very funny, but not for me. Okay, going home, we went all into a espresso. This is a coffee shop. We call it in Czech espresso. We walked all in there, and everybody had coffee, a donut. It was very good. So, okay. We don't talk. I went to sleep. I don't know where they went to sleep. Everybody was sleeping on the door. Everybody had, on the floor, I mean, everybody had a rock. Like nothing. Just lay down and fall asleep. But my mother had a bed. And I had a military cot in one corner. So I went, I lay down, I fall asleep. Next day, they wanted to go to a movie. I said, what's that? Oh, everybody said, you go. I'm not going. You're going. Everybody knew that he wants to marry me, but I didn't. So we went to see, I have to go. We went to see The Golden Man. That was an American film. Then I was already sitting by him, and he said, so how do you like it? I said, I'm very angry at this lady. She has such a good husband, and she cheats on him. I said, I don't like her. He said, I don't like her either, he said. Okay, we go home. So he's already closer by me, my mom and him and me. So we go, all of us. Then again for a coffee. We come home, and he's sitting at a dining room table. And I figured, what the hell is he sitting there? Why is he going to lay down? My mom went to lay down, and everybody's left is out, only me and him. So I figured, no, I'm going to lay down. And he says to me, I'd like to talk to you. I said, what about? He says, well, how bad was it for you in concentration camp? I said, just like for anybody else. It was no different. Everybody had the same treatments. He said, I wasn't like in Auschwitz. He said, I was in labor camp, but then I was in Mauthausen. But they left us just to die in hunger. So he says, I don't know what you went through. I said, it's not your business what I went through. What is it, his business? I heard him talking to his cousin that this Františka Šmilovičova would like to get married with him. But he doesn't think that she's such a nice girl, and this and that. So I heard that Sam told him, oh, these girls that they fool around, they're good wives. They wanted to show their husbands that they're good wives, they wouldn't do anything what they did before. She was much older than me. So anyhow, so I heard that he had somebody. Not willingly, I was on that cot there. So everybody left and we stayed there alone, and I was mean to him. He says to me, why are you so mean to me? I said, because you didn't go to sleep and I have to then clean up after you too. He said, why do you have to clean up? I said, because it's their apartment and we just came here and they just took us in and we have to wash and clean after them and do everything. And I said, we don't feel good. We're just very tired and very sick, and they're already feeling better. They already could go out and do business and this and that. And I said, and we're here again, nothing. He says, oh, really? I said, yes. But he said to me, look at this ring. He came home, I don't know, some neighbor or somebody gave him a ring from his wife that she left with a neighbor. And he says to me, how do you like this jewelry? And I said, what does it matter to me how I like the jewelry? Why don't you ask your girlfriend how she likes it? Why are you asking me? He said, you're my bride. We're going to get married Sunday. And that was Tuesday. I said, what? I said, I am sick. I cannot even walk, not getting married. I said, what are you talking? He said, I said, I thought I'm liberated. Now I have to get married? He says, your mother said that we could get married Sunday. I go to my mother and I says, Mom, what are you talking? You told him that I could get married? She says, yes. She said, he has a farm. We could all go there. And he has cows, milk, and chickens, and eggs, everything. And he said he's going to be a very good husband and a good son-in-law. I said, but you don't have to do that to me. There's other ones. She says, but that's our future. We're going to have a home, and he's going to adopt us. She says, my child, remember when you had typhoid fever and I put you in the cold compresses. You were so scared. You felt so bad. Cold. You were screaming. And then when you got warm in the compresses and I wanted to change you because I had high fever. I had typhoid fever. You wouldn't let me because it was already warm. She says, you know, people get married and they're so much in love. And then the love cools off and they get divorced and they fight and they get separated and divorced. But the ones, they're not so hot, so much in love. They get used to each other and then they live forever. I said, Mom, do I have a choice? She says, no. You listen to your mother. I said, I always did. I didn't want to listen to you now. Mom, I said, if I would see him in the street, I wouldn't recognize him. Why you do that to me? She says, don't ask no questions. This is how it is. So he came in the room. He says, Mommy, is that right that we could get married? She said, yes. He says, I have a rabbi for my city, and he's going to give us a Hupagadition, marriage license. So my sister came, and my brother, my older sister, and her fiancé, and his cousin with her fiancé, and they all came. They already know where we are because my brother was waiting for them at the train. And my brother-in-law's brother, he thought he's going to marry me. But I said to and my sister told me once, you have to listen to me. If not, you're not going to be my sister-in-law. Oh, I said, I'm not going to be your sister-in-law, don't worry. So when he came to, Herman, my brother-in-law's brother, and they came, it's Friday, my husband took my younger sister with him to the farm. And they had slaughtered their chickens, and turkeys, and they brought eggs, and they brought stuff by train. It was like 80 kilometers from Prague, and they brought to make a wedding for Sunday. So my mother was cooking, and the cousins were cooking. Everybody was cooking but me. And everybody, they came in, they said, it smells, it's chickens, it's soup. So, what is it? Goldie's getting married Sunday. Oh, my sister said, I'm getting married too. Oh, the other Goldie, we called her Aranka in Hungarian. They called me Aranka too in Hungarian. She said, oh, we all get married. So we went to a place where the theater, they called it the theater camera. That's not camera like that, but they had clothes and things, and you could rent there a wedding gown or something. So I went and rented there a gown. But I didn't know that my husband put in the purse that I was wearing 17,000 kronen. That was a lot of money. It was like $17,000. He put in there and told my cousin to take me to buy clothes, shoes and clothes, and whatever I want to do with it, I should do with it. So she told me, this is your money. I said, oh, the money I like. We could buy stuff for everybody. So I took my mom and we bought some clothes, some stuff. And Sunday was the wedding. So my sister got married, then she carried me under the chuppah in the house. And then her cousins and me, and I stayed in the dress because I was the youngest, and I paid for it. Joe paid for everything. So everybody, there was in Prague a transit house. So everybody knew, they wrote down, this is here and this is here and I'm there, I live there, I stay there. So people came there and they saw that I am getting married Sunday in Feige. So I saw people that I didn't even know that they're alive. They came to the wedding. And a teacher from my hometown, he was Jewish, he was liberated. He also saw, Goldie. So he was my teacher. He never beat me up. But he had a violin already. He was playing. He was the musician on the wedding. So we got married.
What date did you get married?
It was December 16, 1945. And the next day we went to a hotel. The hotel was my mother and my brother and my sister and me. And we then went in the morning with a train to his place. We came there. There is a German woman, maid. There was a man, he carried with the horse and buggy. And there is 2 houses. So one house was my mother and my sister and her husband. In one house I was with my husband. And my brother and my brother-in-law's brother, everybody was there. So, but when I told my husband, if he said, no, are you going to marry me? And I said, under one condition, that everybody will be with me. We won't separate. We all stay together. He said, oh yeah, that's why I want to have a mother. I want to have sisters, brothers. Oh yeah. So we were all together for a while. Then it started already to be occupied. It started to be occupied Czechoslovakia, like Prague. Done?
When did you come to the United States? When did you come
We came to the United States.
Neither, but it's gonna run.
When was your daughter born?
My daughter was born December 1st, 1946.
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
do that again. Just give me a little bit more roll-up time. Okay, anytime.
When was your daughter born?
My daughter was born December 1st, 1946.
And where was she born
She
at?
was born in Rumburg by Prague.
By Prague. And what is her name?
And her name is Eva Pearl.
And
She doesn't have a middle name.
And when did you come to the United States with
We came to the United States in December 12th, 1950.
Were you ever in a displaced persons camp?
Yes.
Which camp were you
in? We were
in?
in Gaberzee.
And when were you in that?
We were there in 49.
And who sponsored you to come to the United States?
The UNRWA.
Did you have family living in the United States at the time?
We did have family, but they couldn't take us out because they sent affidavits for my mother and sister and brother. So they couldn't send for us, for my sister and me. So we had to go to a DP camp.
How was your health this time that you were in Europe?
My health was very bad. I had back trouble. Yeah, my daughter was sick. She had ear infection. She had mastoid operations twice and pneumonia. So the doctors thought that she needs blood transfusions. And my mother said that would be good for the mother. So then they find out that I have bad blood, like bone tuberculosis. So, and I had help a doctor there in Prague. We were living in Prague then. And my uncle in New York sent me a telegram, answering telegram, what he could do for me because he heard I'm so sick. So this doctor answered him that he could pay for me in Switzerland to go there to be cured by a Professor Rollier in lysine. So my uncle paid for me for over 6 months so I could go get cured. But the Swiss didn't want to take me in because I was from communist country. And the Czechs wouldn't, the communists wouldn't let me out. So I had big problems. I had to fight for a passport. So I got a passport and I got my daughter and we went to Switzerland. And I was there for over 6 months. Then they took away my husband's business. He had a grocery store and they took him in the army. So he was in the army 2 months, and they sent my daughter to him from Switzerland after 6 months. He took my daughter and my sister and brother-in-law, and they escaped Czechoslovakia through Vienna. They went to Vienna. And who helped them escape was the Urgon, Israeli underground organization. So, and then the Czech consulate sent me my passport. I should go then and then back to Czechoslovakia in a ticket. So my husband called me from Vienna every other day, and I said I have to go to Czechoslovakia. They send me away. He says, okay, when you go, you tell me when you go, and I'll wait for you in Vienna at the station. You go down there. Meantime, I got very sick on the train, and there was Russian conductors. It was a lady conductor. And I told her, the lady, I'm very sick, duże bolnia. And she said, what's wrong? And I told her, and she said to me, well, you can't wait until Prague to go sick like this. We're going to have to let you off in Vienna, and we're going to turn you over to the Red Cross. I said, okay, but would you give me, meantime, something to help me? So she gave me towels. I put around. And when I came to Vienna, and my husband was waiting for me and my sister and brother-in-law, so my brother-in-law thought that I'm sick and deaf too. So he said, with all this money that was spent on her, look how she looks. They carried me on a stretcher. So they bring me to Rothschild in Vienna. It was a transit house. And then from there we went to a room to Frau Svoboda. And from there was a Mrs. Schultz in that organization, like you go to register to come to America, like DPs. So she sent us with a transport to Germany that I have to go to a cure place. She was very nice, Mrs. Schultz. She was American. So we went, a few people and a boss, through Salzburg. And then we stayed in a horse stall during the night. And then the next day we traveled again with a bus. We came to Munich. In Munich we couldn't register because it was too late. All the DP camps were already finishing up. And the only one was in Gabersee. So we went there, and there was a fellow from Munkach, and he had papers to go to America. So he said, you know what, since you're sick and we're going to Israel, we have their family already, so you go on our papers to United States. So we came to United States on their papers.
How's your daughter's health now? How's your daughter's health now?
Thank God, fine. She got cured in Switzerland. Yeah.
What did your husband do when he came to the United States?
My husband, to the United States? Oh, he had this contract to work on a rubber factory in Philadelphia. And when we came there, that they didn't have room for him, so he was in a chicken store working. But I wrote from Bremerhaven to my husband's uncles here in Cleveland that were coming with this and this ship to United States. But one of the uncles was so fine, so good, that he wanted to know where we are. So he sent his son to New York to look for us. Then we weren't there. He came to Philadelphia. He took my husband to Cleveland. And my uncle said, we don't want anything. No help from nobody. I'll take him and I'll help him. So we came here to Cleveland, and then we found a job. We stayed there 3 months. He wouldn't let us move.
What did he do in Cleveland? What did he do for a living in Cleveland?
In the living, he went to work in a company that they made storm windows. And then there is where he got sick because there was no fence in the room. And he breathed in the sawdust from the redwood, and he got asthmatic. This is when he got sick.
How many children do you and Joseph have?
Pardon me?
How many children do you and Joseph have?
We have 3 children. Eva, and Ellen, Ira Pearl, and Sheila Pearl Pickles. These twins. Sheila and Ellen are twins. And they were born 2.5 months premature.
What has the Holocaust meant to you in your life?
What they meant to me?
Yes.
The worst thing in the world. There should never be something like that again. Never. There is nothing worse in the world than a Holocaust. Plain torture, hunger, torture, dirt, nothing, beating, hard work, that's all. I can't believe it, that I went through that. So at night when I can't sleep and I have the nightmares and I'm running away from the trouble from the SS people and whatnot. So I wonder if it's true. Sometimes I am screaming and running that I wake up in my own scream.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where would you like a bite? I have some. Okay, I would like to introduce to you my family. This is my husband, Joseph Pearl. This is my older daughter, Eva Pearl Stein. She was born in Czechoslovakia. And this is my son, Alan Pearl. He was born in Cleveland. And this is his wife, Nancy, and his son.
Okay.
Now, I would like to introduce my family, to you, my family. This is my older daughter, Eva Stein, and her husband, Stan Stein, and her daughter, Laura Stein, and Marnie is not here with us today. Now, I would like to introduce you next to me, Sheila Pearl Pickles, and Hershey, Dr. Hershey Pickles, and
my son,
Lindsay, her older daughter, and Aaron, her second daughter. Now I'd like to introduce you my son, Alan, and Pearl, and his wife, Nancy, and her older son Joshua, and the second son Justin, and then the beautiful lady Jessica. And this is my family. And this is, did I introduce my husband? Yeah.
Who's the gentleman standing next to you?
He stand next to me is my husband, Joseph Pearl.
Sheila, what has the Holocaust meant to this family?
Well, there isn't a day in our lives that goes by without the thought of what our parents have gone through and survived, which we feel so thankful to have had such wonderful parents. The fact that they were able to survive these atrocities has made them, and for them to be able to actually be kind and considerate and hardworking, and to raise a family, to come to this country and to raise a family with the values that they have has just been an honor and a blessing and a joy to us. The Holocaust itself is a nightmare and remains to be a nightmare to us every day of our lives. And thank you very much for the opportunity for my mother and my father to provide their testimony. And that in itself is our revenge, our statement that nothing will stop us, and how important it is for everyone to be able to live on this earth free and in peace.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was the record, I think. Okay, these are the photographs now.
Now, I would like to tell you that this is my mother, Laura Schneider, and this is me next to my mother, Goldie Pearl. And next down, this is my baby Eva Pearl. She was born in Czechoslovakia. And that was made in Mariánske Lázně in Prague. It's a resort place. Now, this picture was made in Prague of me, Goldie Pearl, and Joe Pearl, and Václavské náměstí at the funeral of Jan Masaryk. I think that everybody knows who he was. Okay?
Very good. Okay.
Yeah. Now, this picture is for my grandparents. From my mother's side, it is Rita and Ephraim Zinn. And that was made in time, was Czechoslovakia. I don't remember him, not to read it. Now, this picture is from my hometown, Volova. The tall house used to be ours. But I didn't see that since 1945. I don't know if it stands there or not. When I was there, after the concentration camp, there was the NKVD. Now I'm not interested.
And your house was the one on the far left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say? Mm-hmm. Now, this fellow here in this picture, the tall one, this is my brother Joseph Schneider. And we were separated in Auschwitz, and I never know what happened to him, or he's alive, or how they killed him, or he went in. He didn't go to gas chamber right away because he was a very tall and strong fellow. So I just don't know what happened to him. I'm very sorry.
Could you give me that again? Could you give me the description again?
Yeah, it's like when I started?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that picture is with my brother, Joseph Schneider, from Volova, Czechoslovakia. And the two fellows in the bottom, they were neighbors. It was Bernard Schaffer and Bernard Steinberg, Hermann Steinberg. And we went together to Auschwitz in the same train. And when Mengele separated us in Auschwitz at the train, I never heard of him, I never know what happened to him, and I'm very sorry. I know that he's not alive, so he should rest in peace. I love you, Joseph.
Okay.
Can I talk? Now this picture is for my brother Henry Schneider, my older brother. He was going through hell since 1936, all these wars and all these bad things, and then he was liberated and got married and was in America, in Cleveland, and he died 1961 of a heart attack during the night. And I miss him very much. He left 2 children. His wife died 3 years ago. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Now this picture is from the Colliers Rural Foundation Survivors of the Holocaust, the 50th anniversary year of the liberation, recognition of and honors for Joseph Pearl, President of Green Road Synagogue. Now this picture of the Pearl family of Joshua Pearl's bar mitzvah. And there is my older daughter Eva Pearlstein with her husband and her 2 daughters. And Sheila Pearl Pickholz with her husband and 2 daughters. And there is Alan Pearl with his wife Nancy and 3 children, Joshua and Justin and Jessica. Now this is Joe Pearl's family. His mother and father and grandmother and 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So they were all executed in 1941. Living now is Bertha Friedman and Joe Pearl. I thank God for them, and the rest of them should rest in peace. Good?
And Joe is over on the far left?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this.
Okay, I'm going to start with your license on the right.
Oh, now these 2 documents are my birth certificate, Goldie Pearl, from Volove, and it's written in Russian, because after I was liberated, there were Russian. And the next one is my husband's. This is in Czech. It's from Olka Slovensko, and that shows that we're existing. It's us.
Okay, so what is it?
Now this paper shows that Joe and Goldie Pearl were married in Prague, Czechoslovakia, on December 16, 1945. And this is what keeps us together for 50 years. Our 50th anniversary will be next month, God willing. Good?
marvelous.
Yeah?